The arrest of a British parliamentary researcher on suspicion of spying for China has reignited a fierce debate about the future of the United Kingdom's relationship with Beijing.
The firestorm erupted over the weekend, when London's Sunday Times newspaper reported the researcher was arrested alongside another man earlier this year under the UK's Official Secrets Act. The report said the researcher had been in close contact with senior Conservative lawmakers, including the Security Minister Tom Tugendhat before he took his ministerial job. Government sources told CNN that Tugendhat had not been in contact with the individual since he became Security Minister. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said he raised very strong concerns about potential Chinese interference in Britain's democracy during a meeting with Chinese Premier Li Qiang at the G20 in the Indian capital New Delhi last weekend. The Chinese embassy in London denied the spying accusations, describing them as completely fabricated and nothing but malicious slander. The arrested researcher, who has not been named by most media organizations, has released a statement via lawyers proclaiming his innocence. London's Metropolitan Police said both men were being investigated by counter-terrorism police and had been released on bail until October. Though the investigation remains ongoing, the episode has sparked calls from a number of high-profile lawmakers in the ruling Conservative Party for the government to take a harder line on China. Sunak's predecessor Liz Truss called for the government to formally designate China as a threat to the UK. She was joined by former Conservative leader Ian Duncan Smith, as well as a number of other senior party members. UK's Deputy Prime Minister Oliver Dowden said on Monday that there was a strong case to officially designate China as a greater security risk than it is at present, though there is no clear indication the government intends to do so anytime soon. This view is not shared entirely across the party, least of all in the government. Despite Sunak's condemnation of the alleged espionage, his spokesperson has strongly indicated that it wouldn't affect immediate diplomatic relations, including whether or not China would be invited to Britain's Artificial Intelligence Summit in November.
The government's official position on China is complicated.
As Foreign Secretary James cleverly outlined earlier this year, Britain's approach is three-pronged. First, we will strengthen our national security protections wherever Beijing's actions pose a threat to our people or our prosperity. Second, the UK will deepen our cooperation and strengthen our alignment with our friends and partners in the Indo-Pacific and across the world. And the third pillar of our policy is to engage directly with China, bilaterally and multilaterally, to preserve and create open,
constructive and stable relations, reflecting China's global importance, cleverly said in
April, several months before his August visit to Beijing, the first by a UK foreign secretary to China in more than 5 years.
Not everyone inside government agrees entirely with the approach laid out by Cleverly.
Multiple sources, including civil servants and ministers, have told CNN they believe this policy to be at best naive, as it could indicate to Beijing that the UK will always be willing to make concessions no matter what China does.
Under the radar. But back to the question at hand, should the events of the past few days affect the UK's official policy? First, it's worth noting that the arrests in question took place in March of this year, before Cleverly's visit to Beijing, so the government has long been aware of the issue. A number of lawmakers have expressed anger that they were not told earlier about the arrests. However, government officials told CNN that it was common practice not to comment on a live police operation. The British government is also well aware of the fact that China, along with many other countries, both allies and adversaries, engages in espionage.
Officials monitor it, they expect more of it, and they raise the issue directly. This was reflected over the summer when Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee released a report outlining in detail its view that China was seen to target and influence people in the UK's political system. And while allegations against the researcher are serious ones for the police to investigate, it is not entirely surprising that something like this could have taken place in Parliament, or any other official building. Parliament screens people who are issued passes, though a system designed to block individuals who may be susceptible to pressure or improper influences, have shown dishonesty or lack of integrity which throws doubt upon their reliability, or have demonstrated behavior or are subject to circumstances which may otherwise indicate unreliability.